What's up, y'all? This is a bass video, okay? But before I do the bass video, I want to be able to share with you guys a little something about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. All right. Now, if you do not know who that is, I would encourage you to give him a shot. He's the one that loves you. He's the one that cares about you. He's the one that came and died on the cross and came on this earth, walked and died here just so we could have an opportunity at life. And so I would encourage you, this is what my shirt says, right? The way, the truth, and the life. I would encourage you to give him a shot if you haven't given him a shot. If you have given him a shot, I just pray that you would continue on your walk, continue to build your relationship, continue to serve him, to love him, to go to him if you have questions or anything like that. I'm always here too. If you have any questions, I help to the best of my ability. And let's grow together in him. So I just want to encourage you guys with that before we get to the video. Let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Isaac Inspires. We're on bass again. This time, we're going to be talking about chords. So y'all don't want to miss this. Make sure y'all stay tuned for this. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So again, like I talked about, we're going to be talking about chords today. All right. Now, this is a topic I get a lot, man. Like, a lot of people want to know how to play chords on bass, how to, add it within your playing and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to go over that here today. So the big thing to know when it comes to chords, first of all, what is a chord, right? A chord is 3 or more notes that are being played together, all right, that are not a cluster, right? So, like, for instance, if you were to play all together, like as a note, so you could do that on bass, you can't. But if you could, that wouldn't be a chord, right? They're spread out a little bit. They're not like 3 notes right together. So, for instance, in the key of C, this is a chord. This is a chord, right? This is a chord. This wouldn't necessarily be classified as a chord. It's just, 2 notes. It has a pulling effect. It does have a pulling effect like a chord does, but a chord by definition is 3 or more notes. So what we're going to be talking about today is major chords. So there are a lot of different ways to play major chords. I'm going to give you guys 2 different ways, 2 different structures, 2 different families in which you can play these chords. All right, the first is 3 strings all together. 3 strings together, and the other is using 4 strings without a string. If that makes sense. So you're starting on the 4th string, but since it's only 3 notes, you won't use one of these strings. All right. Whereas the first one is the 3 last strings together, or 3 of any strings together, really, depending on how you want to do it. So we're gonna start with the 3 strings together. Now we're gonna be in the key of C. I always say my bass is tuned to A. So if something sounds weird or sounds off, it's because my bass is tuned differently. So I'm going to play it in the way that you can hear it C. All right, so for me, that's here. It's going to be D for a lot of you guys, but it'll sound like C. All right, so a big thing about your major chords is your major scale, right? Knowing what your major scale is and sounds like. All right. So what we're going to use is we're going to use 3 notes in the major scale. All right. We're going to use the 1, which is C. And then we're going to use the 3, which is E, right? So let's go through our major scale. So C, D is 2, E is 3, right? So we're going to use C and E, and then we're going to use the 5th, the 5. So F is 4, which makes G5. So our major chord is spelled C, E, G, or if you want to think about it in numbers, 1, 2, 3. All right. So we're just going to use those 3 notes. Now, the thing about chords that's really cool is that you don't have to play those 3 notes in order. You can play E, G, C. You can play G, C, E. All right. And you can play a bunch of different combinations in which I'll show you. So let's start with the threes a pair family. Threes a pair. Threes a chord family. All right. So this is playing 3 strings together to form your chord. All right. So we're here in C, right? So let's just play it the normal way, right? So we want the 1, which is C, and we want the 3, which is E, right? According to our major scale. That's right here. Now we want the 5, which is G, right? But according to our major scale, G is here, right? You can't play 2 notes on the same string, right? So that means we have to find G on this string, right? So our major scale will tell us that the first note that we play on this string is the 6, or A. All right, now if you know your major scale, you know that the 5 comes right before the 6, but it's a whole step away. So this is our G here. So we have C, E, G. All right, so this is our C major chord and what we call root position, which is you're starting with the note in which chord you're playing. All right, so we're playing the C chord, so we're gonna start with C at the bottom, then E, then G. Now, you can invert that. What invert means is essentially you can take the note on the bottom or the top and move it to the other end. So in this case, we have C, E, G, and I wanna do the first inversion. I'm gonna take the C and I'm gonna move it to the back. So now we're gonna have E, G, C. Okay, so we originally had C, G, E. Now I want the C, instead of at the bottom, I want it on top. So that's gonna shift the way I play this, because I can't do this and play C on top because there's no string left. So I'm gonna have to move my entire hand position. So according to our major scale, right? This is C, this is D, this is E, right? So now I'm gonna play with the 3s a chord, right? So here's E, I need to find G. Okay, well, I know the string right down from it is A, and we just figured out that G is a full step away from A. So here's E, here's G, where's C? Well, G is the string right before C. All right, so here's another C chord. It's just we have E on the bottom. It's still a C chord though, but this is what we call C inverse inversion. This is music theory. This is gonna be C inverse inversion. All right, so we have, which is root position, which is first inversion. And now we have another way we can play C, which is, right, we've accomplished C, we've accomplished E, now we're gonna have G at the bottom. All right, so this is gonna be moving that E that was at the bottom to the top. So now we have G, C, E. So here's E, okay, now I have to find G, okay. E, F, G, okay. So now we want G, C, and E. So we know that C is the string next to G, and then we know where E is once we know where C is. All right, so this is also a C chord, but it's in second inversion because we have G on the bottom. All right, so we just found 3 different ways to play a C chord. All right, we have the root, we have first inversion, and we have second inversion. All right, and then it just repeats itself. All right, now this is the first family of chords, right? Because it's, like I said, it's 3 strings all together. Now let's go to the second family, which is playing 1 of or 3 of the 4 strings, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna play 3 of those 4 strings. It's gonna be different per chord though. So let's play C. So here's C. So now we want a C major chord. This is where it gets interesting. If we play C, E, G, we're gonna end up here, right? But we already established that we can do that based on the first family, right? So we want a different way to play it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep C, but we're gonna flip the last 2 notes. So instead of C, E, G, we're gonna have C, G, E. All right, still a C chord, but we're just flipping the order of the last two notes. So we're at C, now we want a G instead of an E. So if we're in C, G is here. All right, it's here's the 4, and then here's the 5, right? 5 is a full step away from 4. Now we want E. Now, we're at G. The closest E on this next string is down here, right? So unless you have like insane flexibility, you probably can't hit that. So what would you do? Okay, so we can't use this string because that E is here, so we have to go to the last string. Our E, since this is G, this is C, right? And if we have C, we know where E is, right? So we have C, G. We couldn't reach E on this string, so we want C again, and then we want E on that last string. So this chord will sound like this. Again, this is why the major scale is very important. So if you haven't learned that, please definitely go back and learn that in the traditional way and in the linear way as well. So this is our C chord. Now, just like with the first family, we have C on the bottom. So now we want to move it to where we have E on the bottom. So same formula. So now we have E on the bottom. Now, normally this would be E, G, C. But again, we want to flip the last two. So now we're going to have E, C, G. All right. So we have E here. Now, if I look on my next string, the closest C that I have is down here, right? If I do that, then the closest G that I have is down here. All right. So I could play it like that, but that's kind of inconvenient. That's really a stretch. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to find C on the next string, on the following string. So since the C here is all the way down there, I want C on this third string. So this is E, right? And so with E, I know this is A. Whole step back is G. The next string is C. So I have E, C. And then once I have C, I know where G is. All right, so E, C, G. So our first one, our next one, this is still a C chord, right? But it's pretty, it's prettier. It's a prettier way to play. And then we have one more. So we had E on the bottom, right? Now we want to have G on the bottom. So E, F, G. All right. So now we have G on the bottom. Normally it'd be G, C, E, but now we want to flip the C and the E around and make it G, E, C. All right. So we have G. If I say I want the E on the next string, that's all the way here. Not fun. So we're gonna go G here. I know this is C, and so this is C, this is E, right? And then I know this is A, which makes this B, which makes this C. All right, so this is the last C chord. So our first one, second one, last one. Just with G at the bottom. Okay, forgive my bass if it sounds a little out of tune, but yeah, so those are the 3 chords in the second family. All right, so we have 3 chords in the first family, which is the 3's a chord family, right? 3 sticking together. And then we have 3 in the second family, which is 3 out of 4, right? We're gonna play 3 out of the 4 strings. Now, what's really cool is, again, those aren't the only ways you can play them, right? Because we all know that using fretboard knowledge, we have multiple notes, even on the same string. So if this was C, right, C root position, first inversion, second inversion, we can go back to root position, first inversion, and then it'd be over here. But so we can do that. And then we go back to the one that we did with the second family, right? Where we have this. And then that's the last one. But we can also go backwards. So we have this right here, and then we can go back to the G, and then back to the E. All right, so you can do multiple octaves of the same chord depending on how far you are in your bass. All right, so there's two families. All right, the 3 is a chord family, and we have the 3 out of 4 family. So with that knowledge, you can play your chords, you know, any other type of way. So if we were in C, now I want to end on a C chord instead of just the 1, right? So I can go, okay, or I can go, right, or I can go, right, I can go, right. I have a lot of different options that I can use chords for. All right, so now, again, this is just a major chord, right? So that means that we can use it for anything that is a major chord. All right, so in our in music theory, we know that if you have your 7 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, right? Your C or your 1 is usually major. Your F or your 4 is usually major, and your 5 or G is usually major. All right, so you can play these major chords for C or your 1, wherever you might be, your 4 or your F, and your 5 or your G in this case, right? So if I said I wanted to do a 1, 4, 5 in C, and I'll do another video on this entirely once we get there. But I just want to teach you guys the major formula. So if I said I want to do a 1, 4, 5 in C, I could do it like this. Right, so I just did C, C major, my bad, F major, G major, and I just did C major in second inversion. Okay, so when you start to mess around with these some more, that's when you come up with some really, really, really cool stuff. So I'm gonna do some more videos. We're gonna do some minor chord ones, and then we'll do some extensions, and then I'll do a video where we kind of put them all together. The big thing, again, this is just for the major chords, all right? So explore with these, have fun with these. It's really, really a useful tool when you want to expand your playing, when you want to make sure that you are, when you want to be creative, you know? Now, obviously, you wouldn't use this in every situation, but in those moments where you want to be creative, you have all these chords in your hands. So the other thing too, I want to make sure I mention before we head out of here is that I mainly stuck with these 4 strings, but that doesn't mean you can't use this one, right? So for instance, if I wanted the C that looks like this, but I want it on this string, I could play it here. I'm sorry. I could play here. There it is. All right. Obviously, I don't do that because it doesn't really sound that good, you know. So, but you could do it, right? The options are there. You can definitely do the 3's a family, but start on the middle 3. So you can move these anywhere. You can do these anywhere. Don't feel like you're limited or restricted. Just find what key you're in and have fun. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. There's more videos coming. Make sure you guys, communicate with each other. We're all growing. That's the whole point of this channel, is for all of us to grow, myself included. So love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.